Hello everyone. Welcome to yet another live session with THiNC Institute of Design. I hope everyone is doing good. So in continuation with the design entrance exams and their preparations, we have been arranging portfolio sessions. So it's something similar that we have come up with in this week also. Before I begin, let me just have an audio check with my host. Host, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay, thank you. For everyone who is joining, please ensure that your mics are on mute and please ensure that your video is also off. So welcome to everyone who is watching. This is a session wherein we would have eminent faculty from the College of Architecture, Trivandrum, talking about creative portfolio making. So last week we had a session from our faculty, Ashwin sir, who talked about how exactly a portfolio should be, or what are the things that you should keep in mind when you're talking about portfolio, what is it about your story in a portfolio, and things like that. So this particular session is designed to answer a lot of variety of questions. Let me just know what exactly is the phase in which you are currently. Have you all started preparing portfolio, or are you still confused about portfolio, or is it the first time that you have all heard what a portfolio is? Can you let me know in the chat box, everyone? You can just type in, is it the first time that you are hearing? Or have you all started working on portfolio? Are you all stuck with portfolio somewhere? Is it that? Okay, there's a question that has come up already. Do architect students also need portfolio? Good, that's a good question. We would definitely be taking that up. We also have some interesting people to answer those questions in this current panel. Yes, the rest of you, please do not hesitate. Please do not hesitate in putting anything in the chat box. Please do let me know. Whatever you have to say, where exactly are you standing? What is the scenario that you are currently in? Are you working on portfolios? Okay, somebody says, I have given you seed only. Okay, great. Okay, the rest of you? Confused but started, says Mayuka. Okay, great. Haven't started, says Nicholas. Okay, good. Okay, so everyone is in a different state. I have to start with it. Cool. Okay, so everyone is in a different state, right? Some are confused, some have started, some have not heard about it, some are probably stuck, some have looked at a lot of fonts and not sure about which font to keep and things like that. Anyway, for everyone, to addressing all of these things, to address a lot of questions, queries, doubts, and things like that that you have in your mind, we have arranged for this session. This session is arranged with the faculty from College of Architecture, Trivandrum. So without any delay, I would like to hand over the session. But before that, two things. One, please ensure that your audio and video is switched off. And if there is any questions, please post it in the chat box. Please do not hesitate. Second thing is, come up with as many questions as possible. Let's at least agree on the fact that let's not go back with questions and doubts. Whatever doubts you're having in the session, please do not hesitate, open up and ask. With that, I would end and I would take this opportunity to hand over the session to Nimmi. Nimmi, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Hi.
Okay, great. Hi. I hope you're doing great. The stage is all yours.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Nimmi, and I'm a faculty in the Design Department of College of Architecture, Trivandrum. So you all must be close to completing your 11th and 12th studies, correct? I'm guessing you all are in like 11th or 12th. Can you guys let me know in the chat box? Oh, awesome. Okay. So one makes a portfolio when we are at such crossroads, like, you're completing your studies or you're applying to a new college or a new job. So I hope everyone's excited to learn something new about making a creative portfolio. We'll be discussing three major aspects about portfolio making in short sessions. So the first question we'll be dealing with is what is a portfolio, then how to make a portfolio, and how does one assess a portfolio. And in between, we'll be having question answer breaks. And this is to promote active learning, because learning is something that can happen only within you. So keep listening actively. And like Sir said, come up with all your doubts and questions, put it in the chat box, and we will be taking them up one by one. So to begin, the first question that we are going to discuss is what is a portfolio? So I would request Abhijath sir to play the first video concerning what a portfolio is. Let's find out.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, Eva.
Ma'am, so we were thinking about giving a brief introduction about making a portfolio for architecture and design students.
Okay.
So could you briefly explain what is a portfolio?
Portfolio. Let us look at the word portfolio, first of all. It comes from two words, like portare and folium. Portare in Italian means that something that is being carried or that you can transport with you. Folium means a sheet. So it means portfolio means a small case to carry your sheets. Okay. So it was adapted by 18th century English artists to carry their artworks. So that is the origin of this word portfolio. So nowadays we hear a lot of usage of this word in stock market, which means the range of investments that companies and persons do. In our case, portfolio is a set of sheets relevant for an artist or a designer to show their works. Okay. So for an artist, designer or architect, a portfolio will contain their sheets which demonstrates their skills, passions, abilities, creative showing their abilities. Yeah, so these days there are we use a lot of digital portfolios as well, where you can include videos as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
So we just watched Bijay ma'am explain what a portfolio is. Now let's ask Sharmila ma'am how to create one. I request Abhijath sir to play the next video.
What are the elementary steps towards making a student portfolio? Or in other words, how to make a portfolio?
Well, there are quite many parameters that we look into. That is, basically, when we are making a portfolio, it is a compilation of your visual work and your content. So, as well as your projects, as well as your late project work, or maybe your professional work. So you have to compile in a portfolio, you need to compile everything accordingly. So we generally have the visuals more, as because of the reason that, you know, the artistic expression is visuals. So we put the visuals in such a manner where the visuals speak itself, and more of the visuals speaking, we have less of content in terms of words. But the word is used to express the kind of background you're coming from. Maybe explain certain places that, you know, what the project is about and how you had gone about and things like that, but they are minimal. And the second thing is that when you are, this is basically about your creativity, yourself, your passion, and your skills. So during the journey of being a designer, you basically have your skill development. So when you're in the first stage, maybe in the foundation, so your skills are different. When you're coming in the next, areas of your education, or maybe even for that matter, even if you're working somewhere, so you pick up the learning and then you do the projects, and so you have to compile everything together in a very systematic way, where you have to think about the rhythm, the proportion, everything has to be there. There has to be a balance in it. And while you're doing your content also, there has to be a selection of what kind of fonts you're going to use, and what kind of what is the size going to be, and the size of the space, that is size of the paper that you're using, the size of the space of the paper that you're using. And there also a color, the color also plays a very important factor, because you cannot use clashing colors. You'll have to use either contrast colors, or you'll have to have a lot of white background or maybe gray background on which you have to put your visuals and your words. So basically, like you must have seen this portfolio that we have here in our hand, the kind of the placements of the visuals and the placement of how different kinds of projects, because if when you are in the initial stage of your student being a student, so you will have a lot of sketches, you'll have a lot of paintings, you'll have a lot of color classes, you'll have a lot of other things which you will have to decide on how to compile it together and make a portfolio out of it. These days it's like you'll have to make a portfolio which would be digital, or maybe you can carry it in a small little pen drive and show it to anybody you want. So it has become much easier than carrying a huge portfolio. So I think most probably the portfolio making is a very important exercise at the end of your studenthood, or maybe at the end of your career, at the end of your starting of your career, where you need to explain what you have done, and it speaks loud about yourself.
Hi everyone, that was Sharmila ma'am telling us how to create a portfolio. I think due to some technical difficulties, you may have noticed a small lag in the video. So I would request Sharmila ma'am to speak a few words just to summarize the video if possible. And in the meantime, I request all students to put your questions in the chat box, because we'll be taking a few questions after this, which will be answered by the faculty experts. Okay, so everyone should put your questions in the chat box, and Sharmila ma'am, over to you.
Okay. Basically, when we are talking about a portfolio, we're talking about two topics, that is to do with your content, that's the content, and the visual content. So usually in a portfolio, it's an artistic representation of your visuals and less of contents. So when you're choosing to make a portfolio, your visuals should be more than your content. That's the written content. So that is point one. And the second thing is that you have to represent your skills, your passion, your evolution of being a designer, or maybe when you're from being a student, maybe your years of 9th standard till the 12th standard, or maybe 8th standard to 12th standard, whatever you have done, your sketches, your color explorations, all your explorations which you have done, you put together in a visual format and make it as a document of your skills, representation of your skills. And the third thing is that when you are doing your portfolio, then you should be very careful about what kind of fonts you are using, what colors you are using, and what space you are using. If you have to distribute your visuals as per the space of your page or the space of your digital page, or maybe your your physical page, it could be a cartridge sheet or it could be a digital page. So you will have to distribute all your visuals as per your space. That could be a white space, or it could be a gray space, or you could use your color palettes. And you should also be very careful about when you're using your color palettes that the colors will not clash with one another. It could be a contrast, or it could be on a white space, which could be black and white, or it could be any other pastel colors, or whatever color schemes you have to choose. So that's where you have to be very careful. And if you have further questions, that also I can answer. So please come up with your questions if you have any.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I think we'll ask Abhijath sir the next question because it's relating to architecture. Meg 2 asks in YouTube whether we need a portfolio for architecture as well. Could you please answer that, sir?
Is it for entering into your bachelor course or just master's?
Must be for bachelor's.
Everything like you, it's better you should have a portfolio, whether it is digital or handmade or whatever it is. You should have a portfolio to make an impact to an institution. If you're applying for, for a bachelor's course, I don't think you might not need a printed portfolio as such, because you might be having more amount of hands. You might be expressing your hand skills more than your digital skills. So you can just compile your works like, I don't know, like you might be having works like sketches, illustrations, your 3D models or technical drawings or something like that.
Yes.
In your school level. So you can just compile the works accordingly in a neat manner with even if you're compiling like manually also, you can just follow these things. You should follow a specific manner to organize your works and you should follow a consistency in the color scheme or something that you're adding, or the font or the lettering style you're writing in that. Or maybe if you're going for a digital portfolio, you can the works you're compiling it digitally will be also having these kind of aspects. You should follow these things to make a neat compilation of your works. Or maybe after if you're trying for a master's course or something, you might need a better, you might be having a better set of works with you to compile in the portfolio, and it should be more into a digital work, since these days people are like admissions are online and all, might not be having an face-to-face interview. Maybe you should work for something which can be produced digitally and as well as manually, like a printout.
Okay, thank you, sir. Guys, when you ask the questions, like put it in the chat box, please select send to everyone. So I'll be able to see only then. We have another question from Nandini. Are portfolios the same as CVs? Jagan sir, would you like to take this question?
Yes, I would like to. That is actually a very good question, because people get confused as to resume, CV, biodata, portfolios, all these things. In fact, CV is actually a written document where you write as to what all you have done, what all you have studied, where all you have worked, or what all courses you have done, what all small, in between your 11th or 12th, You must have done some courses in drawing or sketching, and then you write about what competitions you have won, what are your accolades. So all these things confines a CV or defines a CV. Now, the same CV in a pictorial form, which is only showing your artwork, what you have, what all you have done, your projects with photographs, etc. That is a portfolio. So you see, a portfolio and a CV is exactly the same, except all the content, only content is there in a CV, and mostly pictorial representations will be there in a portfolio, right? So a portfolio is actually your history of your work, showing as to what all projects you have done, mainly pictorial, with a little bit brief description about what this project was, when it was done, etc. But in a CV, you'll write a detailed report as to all your details, as to which school you have studied, how many percentage you've got, what have you achieved, what rank you have achieved, how many have you won any prizes, any state prizes, etc., etc. So CV is a written document, whereas a portfolio is more of a visual document. I hope this clears the topic. Hello?
Yes, sir. Thank you. The host, can you enable my video, please?
Yes, ma'am. Can you check again, ma'am?
Okay. Okay, great. So thank you, experts. Students, will show you one more video addressing the question of how portfolios are evaluated. And after that, we'll be addressing the rest of your questions. Please keep them coming, put it in the chat box, and then I will answer your question right after the next session. Okay. Abhijath sir, could you play the third video?
Sir, how does a reviewer assess a portfolio? Could you tell us the methods of evaluation?
Yeah, that is a very important thing to consider while designing a portfolio. If you are making a portfolio without thinking that it is being assessed by someone else, then probably it might end up without giving a necessary impact. So basically there are some aspects that the people who are assessing the portfolio look while they are evaluating the portfolio. So while we list out, it will be the first and foremost thing will be the order and organization of the works that you have displayed in your portfolio. Then the second one will be the consistency of the format and the compositional aspects, your theme in the portfolio. The third aspect will be the evolution of your skill sets throughout the year that you have shown in the portfolio. So after these three, the evaluator will infer your amount of passion that you have shown in the works that you have displayed in the portfolio. Then the next two things will be how well do you fit into the academics that you are applying into, or are you able to pursue the course specifically. And the last and another important thing will be whether you are fitting into the designer community, or maybe whether if you are a designer material or not. So these are the aspects to consider while you design a portfolio, keeping in mind that somebody is going to assess your portfolio. So maybe let's discuss these in detail briefly. If we are going to the detail of the aspects that we have discussed, while you are taking the first one, which is order and organization of the works, it is basically the sequencing style of your storytelling that you are trying to convey from your portfolio. So you might be having a wide variety of works with you, different types of works with you. For example, there will be sketches, there will be illustrations, paintings, or photography, some architectural documentation, technical drawing, whatever it is. Yeah, it will be scattered around like or jumbled up, and you don't know how to categorize it. The next step will be you will have to chunk these into specific categories, like what I have said. Like in the portfolio, we can't actually just randomly put this up. The thing is, you have to categorize these into in a broader category or chunks, such as the sketches and illustrations in one group, maybe your 3D models or physical models, photographs in one group, then your photography skills, the examples that you're showing in photography skills in one group. After that, you will have to filter them. From each chunk, you have to select whichever things that you are actually going to put inside the portfolio. You don't have to show the entire work in the portfolio. It can be selective actually. So after this stage, there comes the consistency part. How are you maintaining a consistency of your work inside the portfolio? Maybe the formatting style, the compositional skills. For that, for maintaining the consistency, the simplest thing that you can do is considering a single font that will be continued throughout the portfolio. Wherever you are using a text to explain your design or your skills, you have to use a single font to express that. Or maybe the color theme that you are using. The color theme, you have to follow a single color theme or a color palette. You will select a specific set of colors, 3 or 4 set of colors as a color palette, and you have to continue this from the start to beginning of your portfolio. So that is how it is done while making a better consistency in your portfolio. Maybe for the consistency, you can also consider the compositional aspects, like how you arrange the images in the pages. How are you going into it? Are you making it to a grid, or are you doing something very out of the box, some kind of yes, the principles of design or something like that. After this, then comes the third thing, the evolution of your skills. So this is what maybe they will get an idea of from your portfolio. The evolution of skills basically means that your entire work will be from a span of 5 years, maybe from your class 9th or 8th to 12th plus 2 or something like that. You will be having some set of works with you. Then that will be arranged in an order to show that you have improved from this stage to this stage. That is what you have to show. So that is a good way of expressing yourself. Like the evaluator or who is assessing the portfolio will get an idea that how passionately you have worked throughout the years to get a so and so result at this level of your portfolio building. These 3 aspects are actually the ones that you can do inside your portfolio. But the next 3 aspects are actually what the person who is going to evaluate your portfolio will get an idea about your work. Those are as I have mentioned, the first one will be the passion, the amount of passion that you express in your works, or how much passionate are you towards the work. This can be evaluated from the details that you do inside your portfolio, the intricate works that you show in the portfolio, or maybe even from the evolution of your work, the evaluator can get an idea about how passionate you are. From maybe last 5 years, how well do you improve from one stage to another stage. That is evolution. That is how the evolution of your works give an impression to the evaluator. Also, the passion aspect of your portfolio comes from your originality and creativity. So these are very important 2 things that you have to consider while you are building your portfolio. It should be original. Your work should be original. It should be a display of what you are actually, and how you express yourself. and the creativity that you express in the works that you do inside the portfolio. So that's a passion aspect. While considering the last two things are basically the first thing is how well can you pursue the course. The evaluator or the one who is going to assess the portfolio will actually look through the portfolio and get an idea whether you are able to get an admission into the institution to pursue the course or not. So that is what he will infer about from your particular works or the list of works you have displayed in the portfolio. And the next thing is how well you can contribute to the designers community, or are you a designer material. This is what he will get an idea about. So for this you just have to follow the basic things that I have mentioned in the beginning. You will just have to have the order and organization, the consistency in your work, the evolution of your development throughout the years. So if you follow these things, it will actually come to your way, or maybe you will be able to get an admission to an institution that you dream of, to a better academic career that you can pursue in future. So these are the aspects that you have to consider while you design a portfolio, keeping in mind that somebody is going to assess your work.
I hope that gave you an idea of how institutions generally assess your portfolios. So we can take a few more questions now. I think we'll go for Nandana's question, which is there any app that is used for portfolio making? So I'll open this across the board. Jagan sir, Sharmila ma'am, anyone can go ahead. Any app that is used for portfolio making is the question.
I request the host to just open my video.
Can you?
Yeah. All right. Hello, you can hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Yeah, there are many platforms in which you can make your portfolio. See, it's a simple thing. Basically, you need to collect all your works. You need to maybe scan it, all right? And you just need to lay it out in a way which is a bit smooth to your eye, or not too hurting to your eye, So there is an app called as THiNC actually, and then you can use PowerPoint. You can even use Word if you want. Just align it and just save it as a PDF, Then you can use PDF Acrobat Distiller. A lot of these softwares are there. Then there are particular sites which will help you make your portfolio. Like sometimes even you can make a portfolio in there is a designer site called as Corofloat also. So there are many things. You can even make a portfolio using your Facebook also. But you need to just know these rules that my counterparts in the previous presentations we have spoke about the layout, about the sizing, about the color, etc. I think the easiest app or program you can use for making your portfolio is PowerPoint. Microsoft PowerPoint is the easiest one because it helps you in ready-made backgrounds. It gives you easy access to insert pictures. It's very simple to use, and it's very easy for you to convert to PDF. So I believe there are a lot, and you can find much more apps. Okay, and it's easy for you to upload also into the site. So you can use even Google Drive to save the file there, and you can give a link in your Instagram or in your Facebook or in your LinkedIn app, whichever app, social media platform you are using. I hope it's clear. Okay. Anyone else would like to answer the same thing? Please.
Yes,
Let me add something.
If
the host can.
No, she said Sharmila and Jagan.
It is open to three of us to talk.
Yes, I want to say something. At this stage, my advice would be that instead of using an app, it would be better that you could compile your work yourself in a systematic manner yourself manually, instead of using an app. So at least you will get an idea of how to go about, how to divide your space, how to use your colors, how to arrange your work. Which must have been a very hard work for you because since you are passionate towards artistic abilities, because these abilities are only given to specific people, so you will have to use your aesthetic senses initially, and then the use of app could be used elsewhere. But when you're taking an interview in an institution, a national level institution, it is better that you have your own creative portfolio, which is done by yourself only. That would be a little bit of an advice from my end.
Yes. Your work should be unique actually. If you are going for some application to build up your portfolio, then it won't be unique. Like, yeah, some other guy who is applying along with you will be having some kind of similar stuff. So
yeah,
you should have some uniqueness in your portfolio. That counts actually.
The novelty of your portfolio, the novelty, that is, there should be some creativity. Like, it could be a storyboard, it could be some kind of a story that you had done your work from 7th standard onwards. So what story goes on to that? I mean, how you can break it into a mood board. So things like that, which will be more interesting for the panel to understand that yes, you really have that creative instinct in you. Okay, that's what I want to say, right?
Thank you, faculties. I think we'll take the next question. I would like to address it to Sharmila ma'am. Shilpa asks, which all colors are most suitable for a portfolio?
As far as I told before also, that colors, the soothing colors, like, it should not be clashing colors. You can take contrasting colors. You could take a white background and you could use it on a black and white, visual as well as words, writing. And also use contrasting colors. It could be, if you take an orange or orange on red or red on orange will not work. So it has to be something which would be a contrasting color.
Okay, thank you.
Or maybe you could, yes, maybe you could use a palette. Maybe you could use a palette of pastel shades, or use the background as pastel and kind of play with the colors. So that's it about. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We have two questions on architecture portfolio specifically. So I'll just combine the two in general. So Akhil says he's confused with how to start making an architecture portfolio and how he could make it attractive. And Darshana asks, how would it be different from a design portfolio? So Abhijath sir, would you like to take this question?
Yes.
Specific to architecture portfolio, any tips or so?
So what is the difference from architecture and design portfolio is you'll be having more kind of architectural work. That's it. That's simple as that. Maybe it depends. When you're applying for bachelors and masters, if you're applying for masters, you'll be having more architecture projects rather than any other some kind of sketches. You will be more filtered into architecture works, so that you can get into the higher studies. For a bachelor's thing, I think both the portfolios might be looking almost similar, because the works you might not be having any architecture works beforehand, because you are going to study architecture, right? So maybe something which you can show them that you are interested in architecture. Maybe you can add some kind of, you might be interested in, or you might be passionate about live sketching and all. See, you have seen some artists working on sketches of street sketches. So these are the some kind of works which can make you make the evaluator think that you are interested in architecture as such. And maybe if you are applying for design, for design, maybe in for Bachelor of Design course, there are specifications and specializations in that. There are furniture, and here in our institution we have furniture and interior design. If you are applying for specifically for that, you'll be having more of furniture sketches, or your interest your interest might be in maybe some model making. You might have photographs of your physical models. These are important in architecture and design portfolio. Both are in both. You might have some physical model photographs or something like that. Maybe artworks, your sketches, illustrations. I can just show you and something, but this is not a bachelor's level portfolio. This was my portfolio when I applied for masters. This was like, so this is having more kind of variety of works, which includes sketches, 3D models, architecture documentation, then architecture design works, illustrations, character design. So these are something, this is a mix and match portfolio. This is just mixed up, but the thing is I have just organized into separate pages for separate things. I was just filtered as you have seen in the video. I have just organized and ordered the content into specific chunks, so that the viewer or those who are reading the portfolio, or those who are watching the portfolio can understand what is what, and how will he can grab the essence of the portfolio. Yeah, I can share it on the screen also.
Shall we get back to you, Abhijath sir? We'll take one more. Oh, okay, we start sharing.
So there will be a cover page, then about me or something. Then so this is a digital version which I got print out from that. You can just compile these if you're having hand sketches or original works. You can just compile like that also. So some character design, some architecture documentation, some live scale works, then sketches and artworks, photography skills, your live project that you have done, any wall paintings or stage design, anything if you have, then this is an architecture work. Maybe before applying for architecture, you might not be having any architecture work. This is also a design work. Yeah, that's it.
I think we can go to.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. So two students have asked questions about how lengthy a portfolio should be. Should it be very lengthy or more precise? And also, if you have one big project, how many slides could it take? Jagan sir, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, I just see the video on. Okay. One minute. Okay. See, this is also a very important thing for us to consider. How long should your portfolio be? I think it should be as short as possible. You can have a detailed portfolio, not a problem. Put in all your work, etc. But you should have a summarized, a shorter version, especially in the digital platform. You can actually, make a few main pages, and then you can have a link to the other pages, because you want to show your good works only first. In case the discussion goes further, you need to show the others. So maybe you can, club your projects in a particular way that your prominent works are shown. So like suppose you have done a major project, a bigger project, it just take a long time. There are a lot of visuals. Just take the main features. Like one could be, especially it is very good to show the conceptual drawing, like your rough sketches, it's good to show your rough sketches, like how you have started, maybe it could be that in a particular book, you must have doodled a small sketch, etc. Show that. And then the same page, you show the finished product or the finished drawing, etc. So you try to limit it, and you try to, it's not good to go for a portfolio which is not more than, I think, up to 15, 20 we can there. Beyond that becomes too bulky. Even your file cells also become bulky. So it's always advisable to have, to minimize the number of sheets. You can put your images up in per sheet, etc. Because even your digital portfolio, the file size becomes so big that you will find it difficult to share it with others, etc. You need to have a full-fledged detailed portfolio with all your works, showing all your works. Yes, that should be there, but you should also have a concise one. So what I suggest is you try to sort out your work. If it's similar, you try to club it up and show only the best first. The remaining, just keep it. All right. Now, in your hard copy or the physical portfolio, you compile all your work, but you keep the best in the front, up to 10 to 15 sheets of the best ones, and show one by one. Then the remaining, they will skip through or they'll see later. But it's always that the first few things people tend to look, and then they'll try to judge based upon it. Right? So don't make it too bulky or don't make it too cumbersome. 10, 15, 20. Beyond that, no, people will not have the time to look unless, yes, in some cases, your work is exceptional. Whatever you show, people will accept it. But again, there also, you should try to keep it a limit, because you should see how the interview goes or how they look into it. And then you can add on the other things. All right. Actually, even 1 or 2 of your sketches enough for people to judge as to what you are, what abilities a student is having who's applying for it. I hope it answers your query.
Thank you, sir. So now I think Kalyani has asked the question, how do you show evolution of your work while also keeping it visually appealing? Sharmila ma'am, would you like to answer that question?
Yes. Evolution is like, see, the first lesson that we learn is how to draw a line. So that is also a part of your learning when you are into a creative world. So your first line drawing is also a collection of your evolution. Like it starts from line drawing, then then the lines are constructing a particular object, and then you start sketching, then you start shading. So these things are these things are actually the evolution of your creative ability. So then you start creating your own things, like maybe you could be interested in fashion, or you could be interested in product. So you start sketching your product. So you start building your own little bit thing in a clay, or maybe you could do it in a wood, or you could do it in some wiring. So these kind of things are adding on to your first line drawing, to creating an object, or maybe creating a model, or maybe creating your own little bit of decorative spaces in your own living areas. So these are the things which are slowly making you feel that yes, I'm getting into a designer kind of a mindset. So all these materials which you are slowly developing is what is your evolution. Like even when you create a small little garment, maybe for yourself, for your doll, or maybe even for that matter, if you're creating a clay cup for your drinking. So these things are what is a part of your learning and your evolution. Yeah, thank you.
Ma'am, I think there's a follow-up question as to, should the works be arranged in a chronological order or just an aesthetically pleasing one?
That's a very interesting question. It could be both. It could be either chronologically, or it could be as per your development of your, as I said, the evolution. it is your choice. But mostly we actually do it in an appealing manner. So if you feel that maybe your line is not going straight, maybe your line drawing is not straight, so you can leave it apart and you can start building your portfolio on towards your developments, like how you did your first sketching, then how you did your first shedding, how you did your still life, or how you did a nature study, or maybe how you had, so this is how you could build up on your portfolio. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Nitin. He asks, should there be a page about yourself? If so, then what all details should be added in the same? Abhijath sir, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, definitely. You should add something about yourself, but don't add your personal detail or something like that. Just your academic qualification, then which school did you study, then your name, your age, and your date of birth. That's it. Too much of information will be boring actually in your about me, because they don't want to know too much of detail from you. But still, for your bachelor's level portfolio, it can be very brief because it's only your school experience. But in your master's level, you can have more details about which all achievements. If you have any achievements you have from your school level or your college level, you can just add that also. That counts. And also you can add your skill sets. If you are good in hand skills or maybe modeling, or maybe some if your software skills are good enough, you can just add also. You are just good at this and this software, maybe some Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever software. If you have, if you're good at that, you can just add those kind of information also.
Okay, thank you, sir. Joven Jose has asked a question of what are the risk tolerance in portfolio making? Joven, would you like to explain your question a little more? Okay, so we'll just go to the next question and come back to you. Joven, please put in your chat box. So the next question is, when should you start the portfolio preparation? Jagan sir, would you like to take that question?
Yes, that is again a very good question, because see, now most of you in your 11th and 12th may have already decided that you want to either go for architecture or for design, or you are creative. You have already a bit creative. That's why you must have chosen to go for architecture, right, NATA, etc., or go for design college. That means you've already started maybe in your 7th or 8th, or even from your 6th standard, you must have already started making your drawings, sketches, etc., because these are talents, or these are creative processes that does not start just in 1 day or 2 days or within a year also. It starts from a much longer era. So then you start doing your paintings or sketches or photos or whatever it is. You start collecting them from the initial stage itself. It could be from your 7th standard, it could be from your 6th standard, or mostly even our parents also preserve our work, So that is one thing. Then another thing is, like, basically, if you are very creative and you are, pursuing a career in the creative side from either an architect, either in architecture or in design, I'm sure you guys may be having a mood board in your room where you're studying, basically, where you post or you paste your artworks, and then you may be putting a little bit of decorations and maybe a little bit of flowers and a little bit of poetry, etc. Take a photo of that also, because that is also part of your portfolio, because it shows your creativity in the sense. All right. So if you're asking when we should start your portfolio, your physical portfolio actually starts when the time you started drawing or doing paintings or sketches. It starts from there. Just collect. Then when you are ready and you have decided finally that, yes, I think I will go for architecture and design, say maybe in your 12th or even 11th is too early, maybe, or 11th you decide, or even in 10th you decide. When you have decided that, fine, I'm going to pursue this field, that is the time when you should immediately start off with your portfolio. Okay. Don't wait till your final exams or your entrance exams to prepare a portfolio. Use your free time in your 11th and 12th. You have summer vacations, evenings are there. There'll be a small gap you get. From that time, you start collecting your photos, putting them neatly, putting it in a file. Physically, you start off. Then once you're ready with your portfolio and you want to actually it's time for the interviews or the entrance exam, etc., when you get free, you can scan these images and then you can start placing them. So if you're asking me when is it the time to start your portfolio, it is now, or it is actually when you're ready and you have decided to pursue that field. Okay, so I hope that satisfies the question.
Thank you, sir. We'll take one last question. I think it's a combination of two questions, which is, suppose you have multiple categories of works done in different mediums, and are you required to put all those works in a single slide? That's the first question. And the second question is, suppose you have lesser works in a particular medium. Are you required to make more works just to fill up that slide? So that's the next question. That's the last question.
Could I answer that in my view? At this stage, when you are in 11th and 12th, nobody's expecting you to be a Leonardo da Vinci or a famous artist or MF Hussain or a big architect, like Corbusier or something like that. No. All they're trying to do is to see if you are creative. So whatever you've done, whichever medium it is, if you feel it is good and it's presentable, put it. It may be one particular medium, in one particular medium, maybe you may have only one particular painting. Or in another one, it could be, you must have done a lot of it. Put whatever you've done, doesn't matter. It just shows your creativity. When I went for my, admission for my NID as a postgraduate, I was actually working not in the design field. So all I had was some of the hand sketches that I've done. And I had a few paintings that I've done. That's it. I'm not from a creative background. But the thing is, like, it's in how you present. Now, when you're presenting it in a face-to-face, where you're actually showing a physical or a hard copy portfolio, it's up to you in how you tell the story. In digital media, again, when you're showing your portfolio, it is in how you tell the story. Earlier, even when someone had questioned about the composition of a particular portfolio, Sharmila ma'am had mentioned, that it is you're supposed to have a story, or you're supposed to have a song, or there should be a flow of things. This is what matters. So whatever medium you have done, whatever artwork, I would say even poetry also, if you can compose it and actually make a good illustration out of it, put it. It matters because it shows your creativity. So I hope this clears the point.
Yeah, I also would like to add something to this. That is basically when you are applying to an institution, they are not actually looking at it as in terms of you being a great creative person. It's just like a collection of your skills. It's just like a collection of your innate abilities that you have put into the portfolio. Furthermore, you are going to study into that institution. So the expectation of that institution would be for you to learn and not to unlearn and learn. So it is better that you be kind of a very innocent kind of a medium, where you have all your sketches, all your medium, whatever medium you've used, whether it's watercolor, it's pastel, it's pen, or any kind of a medium that you have used, which has to be put forward as a person who has come to learn. Not that you have already learned a lot of things, and any kind of an institution would want somebody who is open-minded to learn more. So that thing you should keep into your mind, that they are looking for people who are flexible enough to take in their learning. So that's a very valid thing. Yes, making a portfolio is definitely a very important factor, but you should have that thing in you to give them an impression that yes, you are now into the learning mode. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I think the faculty's answers your question also, Shilpa. The Shilpa's question is also a version of the same. We have one more question which I found interesting, which was, can I keep recreations of famous artists' work? So basically, I think what she's trying to ask is if she has recreated something or looked at some painting and drawn the same, is it okay to keep that? So in terms of maybe plagiarization or so, would you like to answer that question? It's open to the board.
I think that is there is an issue that I think we should consider. See, now when you start drawing or painting or creating something without any proper training or whatever, you tend to look at things and draw, right? Now, people, even the painters, they have kept a model in front of them and they have painted looking at that. Now, when we are beginners, we are not professionals. We are not, trained in a particular thing, but we can look at a painting and recreate it, and you can present it in your portfolio because it shows your style. You understand? So I think it is not an issue if it's a copy, because many times, even when I was in my college and I used to paint, I am not from a fine arts background. I'm from an engineering background. I have looked at movie posters or movie stills. One painting which I've done is basically of an actress dancing. I've taken that photo and then I've done a painting about it. No? So it is to show that you can recreate something. So I don't think at this stage, okay, because you guys are still from school and you're entering a professional course. At the professional level, when you have done your graduation as an architect, as a designer, etc., then this may not be correct. You understand? So I hope that clears that point.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all faculty for answering the questions. Students, you can keep asking, putting your questions in the chat box, but due to time constraints, we'll be wrapping up soon. So you may have noticed the C.A.T campus in the background of our videos. So let me take a few minutes to tell you more about the College of Architecture, Trivandrum. C.A.T is one of the largest architecture colleges in the capital city of Kerala. We have faculties from eminent national and international institutes with diverse backgrounds. In our architectural program, our focus is on environment, building performance, and 21st century practices. The Bachelor of Architecture course is for 5 years and is affiliated to KTU. The other option is our Bachelor of Design program, which focuses on traditional craft practices and entrepreneurship. The course is for 4 years. Specialization is in interior and furniture design, and it's also affiliated to KTU. We have MOUs with multiple universities such as Saxion University, Netherlands, ENSAP LV, which is in France, and we often conduct workshops and have student exchange programs with the same. So if you would like to know more about C.A.T, don't hesitate to contact us on our Instagram page. Our links have been posted in the chat box before. So now let me conclude by thanking all of you for your patience and making the session as interactive. If we have missed out any questions, or if you would like to converse with us more, you can please message your THiNC faculty or post us the questions directly on our Instagram platform. Thank you, everyone. Now let me hand it over back to Mr. Suraj.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I think that was really interesting session. There were lots of questions that were popping up. To all the students who are watching, you can still go to the YouTube session. The recordings will be available. Some of the questions have not been, don't feel that some of the questions have not been answered because we've already answered it previously. Okay, so you can also watch the recording, get an idea. And also, if still there are questions that are coming up, please do not hesitate. You can put it in the chat box, YouTube chat box also. We would love to answer it. And just like how Nimmi was saying, if there is any questions, queries regarding C.A.T college, you can definitely contact us. We have put the Instagram and website link also in the chat box. Okay. So we hope the session was really helpful and useful for everyone who is watching. Okay. We have had a portfolio session last week. This is our second session. We have our portfolio bootcamp that has started. The next batch will be starting shortly. So if there is anyone who is interested to join, please do contact us. The link for the Google form for registration will be shared in the live chat box. Okay. So if there are any suggestions, anything that you want to say, we would love to hear it from you in the chat box. Please do not hesitate to say that. Okay. And if you're liking the content, please do subscribe. A big shout out to College of Architecture Trivandrum and for the wonderful faculty. Thanks a lot for joining us, and thanks a lot for this wonderful session. I hope everyone will be charged up and motivated to continue working on their portfolio. So that would be it from THiNC Institute of Design and C.A.T Trivandrum this time. Until we see you in the next session, stay safe and healthy. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, host.